This video is to show you how to fix and diagnose grinding issues coming from the front of your F-150. This is for the four-wheel drive model. I was having this rattling slash grinding noise coming from somewhere in the front here. It was on both sides. I couldn't even really tell if it was coming from the front of the transmission or if it was coming from the wheels. I found out that Ford uses integrated wheel ends for the four-wheel drive, which basically that's what they call the locking hubs. They work on a vacuum system, and the vacuum was dropping out whenever I was driving. Now, of course, before I figured that out, I checked all the heat shields, checked the exhaust, was trying to figure out what the symptoms were, and I found out that it went away whenever I let off of the throttle. And Ford has a technical service bulletin on this: four-wheel drive intermittent grinding noise while driving. This intermittent grinding noise while driving two-wheel drive mode, most commonly on acceleration. This may be due to a loss of vacuum to the integrated wheel end actuators and or wear of the IWE components. Now, your IWE components are not going to get worn unless you grind them for a long period of time. So if you're hearing this intermittent sound and it doesn't seem to matter what speed you're going, it just matters whether or not your engine's loaded, this might be the issue. It's also hard to tell whether it's come from the front or not. Originally I thought I might have an issue with the brake system, but that wasn't it. There's this check valve right here under the hood that turned out to be, long story short, turned out to be the bad part. But the way I diagnosed it is I unplugged this solenoid valve, which controls the vacuum going down to the IWEs, and if you disconnect it, the IWEs will be locked into four-wheel drive mode, and when it's in four-wheel drive mode, then you won't hear the sound anymore. And then if you hook it back up, the vacuum will start coming into them again, and they'll be stuck between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive mode, and you'll start to hear that sound. This is the Motorcraft part number for this check valve right here. It ended up being the fix, and later in the video I'll show you how I diagnosed it and how you can check the same thing out on your truck. It's like an $8 fix. If you want to check the vacuum while you drive, like I did, I've just got a cheap vacuum pump here. It's running out the window into the engine bay. Comes over here, and then I've just got it teed off. This is the IWE vacuum line. This is where I was doing swaptronics with the solenoid valve. And so you can see I've just got teed off. Your vacuum comes in here. Here's the check valve. Vacuum comes in from the engine, goes into the solenoid valve, which then goes out to the T. The T goes back to the gauge on one side and into the IWEs on the other side. Pretty simple way to test it. I think that's the best way after I've done it and wasted a bunch of time now doing it other ways. Stop sign. Pressure's going down. It's green. I'm gonna go. Oh, there it is. So it might be that my check valve is bad, because the check valve should hold the vacuum in whenever I'm at a stoplight. I want to simulate that again by stopping right here. As soon as I get into it, there it is. So it can't maintain. I just replaced the check valve, and I'm driving around now, and everything seems to be good. Even if I release some of the vacuum out of the system, or I guess let some air in, the vacuum builds back up. I'm going up a slight grade right now, and when I put on the gas, the vacuum gauge doesn't go down like it used to. So it was a check valve after all. I checked a bunch of components, all the vacuum hoses down to the IWEs. I checked out the solenoid. Actually did swaptronics on the solenoid because I thought the check valve was good. I was blowing through it and playing around with the vacuum gauge, and it seemed like the check valve was working fine, but it turns out it wasn't. So don't be fooled by that. It's usually nothing complicated, just like the internet says. It's the check valve.